I think Putin is probably shocked at how they were. Now, I can't speak for him, I'm not in his mind, but I'm sure he is looking at even now his narrow objectives because his military campaign is failing.
I failed to appreciate the depth of the corruption inside the Ministry of Defense. I had always kind of believed that the general staff, the professional officers were, there was a sort of a expectation of professionalism there, that they would do their duty, that they were intelligent, well-educated, they are, and that they would be able to do their duty. What I did not realize is that the corruption in the form of false reporting about numbers, shoddy equipment, zero quality control over things, over how ammunition is stored.
I mean, I think they're, the Russians are very good at propaganda, and they, they had broadcast how they'd transformed their armed forces and how, on their huge exercises like Zapad, which you will see in the newspapers, how they integrate all the various domains from cyberspace, air, land, and sea. And actually, in reality, that is not the case. They have not been able to do that, and they've been pretty incompetent.
The Russians made some big mistakes. They thought that going in the wintertime would make it easy, that somehow the fields would be frozen. But in fact, they realized they couldn't really drive their support vehicles on fields, and so they drove them on roads, created this enormous bottleneck, bottle jam, in the roads north of Kyiv, the so-called 40-mile traffic jam, and left themselves vulnerable to harassment attacks and to, javelin and other anti-tank and anti-vehicle attacks from infantry forces running along the sides of the roads and hiding behind buildings and trees. And the Russians didn't even put out proper infantry troops of their own to protect those flanks.
I think it was pretty obvious that for us that the Ukrainians actually were very capable. And of course, the British have been working, or British military, we've been involved with the Ukrainians for a long time there, helping train them prior to this invasion. I think it was becoming increasingly obvious to us that they are very capable and they were going to fight for their country, which of course they did.
I think if we were serious about Ukraine winning, not just avoiding defeat, but winning, then we would be pushing a significant amount of weapons, long-range fires that can accomplish what we're seeing now in bits and pieces. That's what would become decisive. That's what would help set the conditions for Ukraine to launch a successful counterattack.
In terms of the equipment and the capability itself, I mean, it's making a real difference. Russia's been, I think, pretty desperate and pretty ineffective with their campaign. They haven't achieved, anywhere near what they wanted to achieve. Whereas the equipment that we are providing, Great Britain, the USA, and all of our partner nations are making a difference.
If you're going to do attrition, you have to have three things. You have to have a lot of people, you have to have a lot of resources, and you have to have a lot of time. And the Russians don't have any of those three. So they've chosen, unfortunately for them, the wrong strategy to defeat Ukraine.
I am guessing that some kind of a stalemate will develop in the course of the next few weeks, or certainly by the cold weather. And then the question will be, do the two sides decide it's time for diplomacy and maybe have some creative notions of shared sovereignty or putting off certain territorial issues for a longer term referendum? Ukraine should get back most of its land. Let me just be clear on that. But there may be a need for Russia to get some degree of face saving and some degree of, at least a sense that the war has not been completely in vain. Otherwise, I don't see Putin stopping.
Hi everyone, George Stephanopoulos here. Thanks for checking out the ABC News YouTube channel. If you'd like to get more videos, show highlights, and watch live event coverage, click on the right over here to subscribe to our channel, and don't forget to download the ABC News app for breaking news alerts. Thanks for watching.